Folks, live again for the second time. Well, it's less than an hour since the last stream ended, and we are going again. I've had time to watch the announcement, which, I mean, it was what we expected it to be. Watch the announcement, digest it a little bit, have my Twitter go crazy with lots of questions coming in, lots of tweets going out, and I thought, you know what? The reason I started doing these nightly live streams is to avoid my Twitter going absolutely crazy with questions in all directions. That's exactly what's happening here. This feels like a time when we need to do, and I know it's a little bit later than usual, but I think it's kind of extraordinary circumstances, and I need to chat, and also Anna sent me out here. Anna sent me out here with the message of, the feedback you've been getting. There's lots of people who, whether you like it or not, this is pretty much the pep talk I've just had from Anna, because I wasn't sure whether it was right to come out here and do this. I would never want people to think I'm trying to capitalise on a terrible situation or anything like that. I mean, it's got lockdown in the title. This isn't going to be monetised. It'll be immediately whoop. So, yeah, I'm not trying to. Oh, I don't know. But what she said to me was, there's a lot of people out there who have told you that they look to you for guidance or leadership or inspiration or whatever it might be. There's going to be a lot of people scared. Go out there and talk to them. Calm them down with your lovely soothing voice. So that's what I'm doing. And just come on for a little bit of a chat. We'll just have, I don't know, I'm not even going to call it a Q&A. We'll just have a chat. Anyone who's not seen the news, maybe go and watch the news first. But as of 8:30 this evening, the UK is in lockdown. They didn't actually use the word, but they pretty well defined it. A couple of immediate takeaways for us. Anna immediately decided Andy isn't going to school tomorrow and he's going to be off for the duration of this. Although on further inspection, it looks like the provision that was put in place last week for key workers and for vulnerable children remains unchanged. Lots of people have got in touch and said it all remains unchanged. He could still go in, but I think we've reached the point now where I think the fact that it's got the 3-week time limit on it for now makes us feel a little bit more comfortable about saying, yeah, okay, for 3 weeks, we'll take him out of school and then review it at the end of the 3 weeks. Our big fear was always taking him out of school for 6 months, which it might still end up being. But I think for as long as the country's in lockdown, we have to be sensible and say he doesn't need to leave the house. So Andy's not going to be going to school, which is, I guess that's a positive. We'll have to see how it pans out. The one big, huge negative for me personally is, of course, I'm not going to be able to see the girls for at least 3 weeks because they don't live with me. Officially, we still have joint custody, me and their mum. But obviously, as they've got older over the years, it's kind of leaned more and more towards them effectively living with their mum most of the time and coming to see me a day or two a week, sleeping over. Amy was due to be coming tomorrow, and one of the first things I did, or the first thing I did, even before Anna made the decision about the school and we contacted them, the first thing I did was contact Amy and say, look, I don't think we can do this at the moment. I don't think it's allowed. And she said, yeah, I've just had the same conversation with mum. She's upset, and I'm not happy about it. But for the next 3 weeks, Amy's not going to be coming over. I'm not going to see my kids for 3 weeks because of this. I guess we could. Someone suggested on Twitter that we all go to the shops at the same time and hang out down the fruit aisle in Tesco, and then sneak into my car on the way back again. And yeah, of course, there's ways that people could game the system, but I think there comes a point where you have to just take your knocks and hope that it's for the greater good. And there's a reason. There's a reason the lockdown thing is in place. And ultimately, we do have a vulnerable child in our house. And also, I'm a high-risk group with my high blood pressure. And both Lucy and her mum work in the NHS, active frontline NHS workers who are going to be exposed to this virus. And although they're not at risk of it themselves, it probably is for the best that there isn't any cross-contamination between their house, which is almost certainly going to have this virus knocking around in it at some point, and our house, where we've got Andy, who we don't know what his immune system is like. We know when he gets ill, it knocks him for six. Last time he got the flu, he was off school for like 2 months, lost like 2 stone, was dangerously underweight, was almost admitted to hospital because he wouldn't eat or drink. And that was just with the flu. And obviously this is worse. So it probably is for the best that Amy's not coming. But obviously as a parent, it's rubbish knowing that you don't get to see your kids. And I know that's going to be a situation that affects a lot of people. So that's rubbish. One of my other thoughts was I haven't got any petrol in the car. Are the petrol stations staying open? Because it's all well and good saying you can make trips for essential purchases at the shops and stuff. But if I can't get there, I can't do it. But it looks like petrol stations are also considered essential. So we're all right on that front. Kiva, thank you for the super chat. She says, keep safe, Kev. We're planning on keeping safe, don't worry. I can see lots of stay safe messages coming in the chat. As Matt says in the chat, the whole point is to not cheat the system. Yeah, exactly. And people will still try, and I hope the law comes down on them and punishes them for trying to game the system. The idea is now to not overload the NHS, as the Prime Minister himself has said. It's got to the point where if we don't stop the spread of this, there's going to be, and he can't quite go into the numbers as much as some of the stuff I've read, I guess, because he doesn't want to terrify people. But there's scenarios out there where we don't get a hold of this and millions of people die. So hopefully this will work, and people will actually follow it this time. Let's do a bit of a Q&A. I didn't mean to come on and bring you down. That's, like I said, it's therapy for all of us, me included. That was me getting my stuff off my chest, and now you've got the opportunity to get your stuff off your chest. So I'm just going to do this Q&A style until we start to quieten down, I guess, and just talk until I feel like we've said enough. What will happen to the weekly vlogs? The weekly vlogs will carry on. There's no reason for them to stop. If anything, as you saw, the one that came out today was nearly an hour long. So there's a lot to talk about at the moment. A vlog doesn't necessarily have to be going out and about and having an adventure. And obviously it's not going to be for the time being. But there's a lot of real family stuff going on at the moment that absolutely will go into those videos, and you'll see how we get through what is it. I mean, it's the hardest thing any of us will have ever had to live through. It's touch wood, it's the hardest thing we'll ever have to live through. This is like our World War II. It's awful. But I did see someone, to try and put a lighter spin on it, I did see someone put something on Twitter the other day that our grandparents and great grandparents were called up to go to war. All we've been asked to do is stay at home and sit on the sofa. So, it's we should be able to get through it. French Chainsaw, thank you for the super chat. Will you explain in some way to Andy about this? We've explained it as much as we can, in so much as there's only certain words for this kind of stuff that he understands. He knows flu and he knows poorly, so we've used those words. He knows off school, he knows closed, so we've used those words. But the severity of it and the impact it has on other people, there's just no way of that sinking in for him. We told him about half an hour ago that he wouldn't be going to school tomorrow. And as I was coming out here, he was sat on his bed singing holiday, 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 holiday. So he's over the moon because he thinks he's on holiday. I am interested to see how long that lasts when he realises it's a holiday where he can't leave the house. There'll be no going to churches, there'll be no going to McDonald's, there'll be no going to the trams and going to all his favourite places, and he'll get bored quick at home. And that was always our fear. That's why we've always been very reluctant to keep him off school, because he will get bored fast, and when he gets bored, he gets destructive and his anxiety increases, and he's more likely to have meltdowns, and he's more likely to have a hard time. So it is going to be a tough time for Andy. It's going to be a tough time for us, because obviously now me and Anna have got to work out a way to parent Andy full time, like 24/7, whilst also fitting in the final month, 6 weeks of Anna's degree. She's got a dissertation to write. She's got assignments to rewrite because she now can't go in and do practical stuff. But I've got to keep the videos coming out because I've got to keep the business ticking over because we need money. So yeah, it's going to be a very challenging time, but I'm not that far up my own backside and that self-absorbed that I don't acknowledge it's a really hard time for everybody. And there's a lot of people out there having a much harder time than we are, because ultimately I can carry on doing my job and I can carry on doing university. She's still going to get her student finance. For the time being, I'm still getting paid by YouTube. Obviously, if businesses are going out of business, then advertising revenue is likely to fall, and that could have a long-term impact. But this month, Anna's still getting paid. I'm still getting paid. We'll be all right this month. And if there might be issues long term, and there probably will be, we'll deal with them when we get to them. But right now, there are people fearing for their rent and their jobs and stuff like that and their health. And we're not at that point yet. So we have to make sure that we try and keep some context in all this. Mackenzie Mann, thank you for the super chat. Hope you guys are okay. Love from Oregon, USA. We're all right. Thank you. The support is much appreciated. Charlie, the tech fan, says, what's happened about the lockdown? If you've not seen the news, I don't want to go over it because I know there's lots of people who will have already seen it, but the gist is there is one. And it's now you're only allowed to leave the house for essential purposes, and it's going to be enforced by the police, and they can fine you, they can send you home. No gatherings of more than 2 people. So even things like, I know I often refer to wrestling on here. I know most of you probably aren't wrestling fans, but there was a no fans wrestling show in London last week. But that wouldn't be able to happen now because that's a gathering of more than 2 people. So, yeah, it rules out the idea of doing any sports behind closed doors because there'll be gatherings of more than 2 people. Danny the Unicorn 1, thank you for the super chat. Hope you'll be okay and look after yourself. We've got plans. We had a contingency plan in place for this. I'm glad we're allowed to have our little bit of exercise every day. So our plan is first thing in the morning, I think, and it might move to midday if Andy starts to struggle with getting through entire days. But our plan certainly for tomorrow is get up at normal time as if it's a normal school or work day. Have our breakfast as normal. The time Andy would normally leave to school, the 3 of us are going to take Dave out for a walk and just go and wander around the field near here. Have to avoid the park because Andy will want to play in it. So we'll avoid that, but we'll just take Dave out for a walk. Everyone gets some fresh air, a bit of exercise, just as the 3 of us and Dave get home and then get on with some work. And Andy, and like I said, for the first few days, Andy will have a lovely time, because he'll get to do all of the things that he misses doing when he's at school. He'll have a great time the first few days. It's when he starts to get bored and run out of things to do that it's a problem, because he just will. That's how the summer holidays always work. Aaron Jenkins says, during all this lockdown and people off work, would you set up like a mini tourney or league or something on FM for your lollujo members? Be a great idea. The big issue with that, and I absolutely understand the thought process behind it, and it makes a lot of sense, but and I think as Football Manager content creators, Dr. Benji was tweeting something, and I think we are all going to try and put something on for people to watch, just as a, the people who make the game are making it free for another week. It feels like we should probably do our bit to help with that. So I'm absolutely going to find the time to do that. But finding the time to do the other stuff is difficult because obviously I still need to work as much as I do already. But now I also have to look after Andy while Anna's working, which I didn't have to do before while he was at school. So I actually have to now do the same amount of work in less time. So finding even more time to add in extra stuff is going to be a real challenge. So we'll have to see. I do think it's important for me to show how much I appreciate the people who are channel members on both channels, the people who back me on Patreon, the people who buy my merch, the people who are doing super chats. Charlie the Tech Fan, did I say thank you for becoming a channel member? Thank you for becoming a channel member. For all these people who are helping support us for all this, I need to be able to show my appreciation, but at the same time, I need to keep all the other content coming out too. So we might have to do some kind of IOU system where I might have to do a members only video once I've fleshed out a plan, but it'll probably be something along the lines of, this is what I plan to do, but it will be happening after everything's back to normal, because I just can't do it now, but I want to be able to say thank you after everything is done. I need to come. If anyone's got any suggestions, let me know. I'll figure something out. But yeah, that's just off the top of my head stuff. I absolutely want to be able to show my gratitude, but just don't see how I can fit it into the day. Why doesn't Amy move in with you guys temporarily to reduce her risk? Mainly because she would really, really, really miss her mum and her sister. She's never been away for them for more than 2 or 3 days in her life. And it's just the nature of it. She can although it won't be nice for anyone, she can handle 2 or 3 weeks away from me. I don't think she could cope with 2 or 3 weeks away from Lucy or 2 or 3 weeks away from her mum. I think it would be really, really tough on her. And yeah, I just think as a parent, I've got to do what's best for her, and what's best for her is for her to be with her mum, even if there's a slightly increased risk of her getting ill. Yeah, I just don't think. Yeah, I think it's just for the best that she's there. Lots of people suggesting that as well. So consider that an answer to everyone who suggested variations of that. I'd keep Andy at home and not go to school until at least after the Easter holiday period. Yeah, well, I've sent an email to the school this evening and said, based on the announcement this evening, we're going to keep him off school until at least the end of the Easter holiday. So I think it's 2 weeks off school now and then 2 weeks for the Easter holiday. So he's got a month off from now. In a month's time, we'll review. And if lockdown has been lifted in a month, we'll send him back to school, even if we're still doing social distancing stuff. Because I think it is important for us to not keep him off too long. But at the same time, I think the lockdown stuff is a good way for us to gauge what we should be doing and when. And for as long as this lasts, he won't be at school, I imagine. I just hope it doesn't last too long. Charlie Trains UK, thank you very much for becoming a channel member. Right, let's have a little look. Am I going to homeschool Andy? No, we talked about this a little bit on the stream earlier on today. Andy very much is set in his ways of the stuff that happens at school, stuff that happens at home, and he won't engage in any kind of education at home. And with it being a short-term thing, I think it's just going to create even more anxiety. He's already had a week, 2 weeks of everyone messing around with what he does at school. If we start changing how home works as well, it's just going to add another layer of anxiety on. So I think we're just going to let him treat it as it's a holiday. And he just effectively gets a 4-week holiday rather than a 2-week one for Easter. It's not a big deal. It's not like he's got exams that he's studying for. He'll be fine. Beth Lawton, thank you for becoming a channel member. And Kiva, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the mention in the vlog today, Kev. No worries. Thank you for continuing to support the channel as a channel member. It is very much appreciated. Will I be going on a holiday schedule for lollujo videos if it would help your workload? See, that's difficult because in an ideal world, yes, I would. But we're not in an ideal world. And because we don't know how long this is going to last for, the reason I can do that at Christmas is because at Christmas, every video gets an absolute ton of views and ad rates are high. And I can afford to have 2 weeks doing one video a day and still get paid more than I do most months because it's Christmas and views are high and ad rates are high. The reason I can do it in the summer most years is because in the summer, I don't really get any views anyway. So I don't budget for a lot of income in the summer because I know I'm not going to get a lot of views, but I'll get more when the new game comes out. The issue with starting that schedule now and potentially leaving it in place long term is it's these months where I build up that money to let me do that in the summer. I can't afford to go down to one video on that channel a day now and leave it in place long term because that's not what our finances are set up to do. It just wouldn't work financially. So I will continue on normal schedule for as long as I physically can and I'll just have to pay attention to my body and my brain. And if it feels like I'm pushing myself too hard, I'll just have to cut back a little bit. Maybe we'll do 2 episodes a day in the week and drop the weekends at some point. Or maybe we'll do 2 episodes most days. Or there might be a few missed episodes here and there. Like you saw last week, we missed a Bourne episode. But yeah, we'll just have to play that by ear. It's a good question, though. Thomas Bunce, thank you for becoming a channel member. Lewis Wilson, thank you for the super chat. Evening, say hello to Lottie for me. Hello, Lottie. Hello, Lewis. Thank you for your ongoing support. You're here every stream, and it is much appreciated. Have you ever thought of doing tutoring videos or live stream to bring in some extra revenue as an ex-teacher? I have thought about it. This is from Geeky Guy 55, and I'd be interested in getting people's thoughts on it because I had this conversation with a couple of people over the weekend, and my thoughts are, firstly, now's probably not the time to effectively try and start a new business and build something up from scratch because I have no authority, no reputation, no influence as an education creator. So I would be starting from zero, or not from zero, because people would come over from this channel, I guess, but not many people, I wouldn't have thought. I mean, I can see from how many people come to my Twitch streams and how many people listen to my podcast that there is only a very small number of people who follow me to a different platform for different kinds of content. So I'd be effectively starting from zero, and it's not really the time to build something, especially when I've already said I'm going to be stretched super thin anyway. Finding the time to do it would be really difficult. But also at the moment, I don't even know if it's something people would watch, because my specialism was exam age groups like GCSE and A-level. My PGCE, my teacher training is in the 14 to 19 age groups. My book is about exam prep. My specialism is getting people through exams. And if there aren't exams, it kind of takes away the thing that I'm really good at. I'm good at computer programming and I'm good at exam prep. And I don't know how relevant either of those skills are at the moment. So it's not something I'm pushing at the moment. Lewis, I'm good tonight. Thank you for dropping in with another super chat. That is very kind of you. I'm all right. I'm already feeling better. We've been streaming for what, 10, 20 minutes. Blimey, it's flying. I hope I am helping to ease some of the anxiety for some of you guys, just by having a chat about it and asking questions, answering questions. I'm already starting to feel a little bit better, so it's certainly working for me, but I don't want this to just be a one-way thing. If you've got any questions that you're really worried about, that you don't understand about what's gone on, if I can help explain what I've consumed in the last hour, again, that's something I'm good at as a teacher or a former teacher and a YouTuber. I'm good at explaining stuff. It's one of my strengths. So if there's parts of what you've seen that you don't understand, I'll try and explain it if that's needed. KTE asks, if you were to use lollujo 2 for a few trial episodes, I'd definitely at least watch. I mean, it's something I might look into at some point, but I think there'd be a lot of work to go into it with limited reward at the moment. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing a huge opportunity. I know Joe Wicks is jumping on the PE lessons thing, and from what I can tell, he's making a killing doing it because he just had the right idea at the right time, but then he's already in that space. If I was already making like exam prep videos regularly, I could probably swerve into studying during lockdown or studying while not at school. I could swerve into that because it's sort of related and I have a lot of overlap audience. But because I've never really touched on that topic at all, it would be a case of, in the majority, for it to earn enough money for it to be worth the time it would take to do, I'd need to go out and find a big audience quick, and I just don't. I think there's going to be a lot of actual current teachers probably already cornering that market. One thing I did think of doing was reaching out to teachers who want to perhaps use the internet to keep their lessons going, or reach out to schools and offer myself as some kind of consultant to get e-learning off the ground somehow, whether it's establishing video conferencing or online seminars and lectures and collaborative working techniques and stuff. If there's any teachers or any schools out there who want to work with me on that basis, come and find me. Yeah, I'm easy to find on the internet, and I'd like to think I have some decent crossover skills between my life as an online content creator and my former life as a teacher. I'm pretty sure I could come up with a system that would make it work within your school. I just don't think I've got I just don't know that I'm in a place to do it myself at the moment. Angela Adventures, thank you for the super chat. You say thank you for the live streams. Thank you lot for coming to the live streams, because seriously, like I keep saying, they help me at least as much as they help anybody else. So I love the fact that I'm sat there stressing out and got all this stuff going through my head, and I have the luxury of being able to come on the internet and talk to you lot about it, get it all off my chest, have people send me links and send me questions and send me advice to help me feel better. And I'd like to think I can then spin it around to helping you feel a little bit better about everything as well. You should build a church in your garden for Andy. If I had any kind of skills like that, I would. What I am thinking of doing is, because one of the things me and Amy are planning on doing to stay in touch is get back into some multiplayer online Minecraft. So between me and Amy, we could probably build him like a cathedral in Minecraft, which might be a good idea. Holly asks, how will Anna balance work, uni, and looking after Andy? Well, we are still trying to figure that out. At the moment, we've just got to get through tomorrow. And tomorrow is a normal shaped day anyway, because Anna's at work 3 till 10 as normal. So tomorrow's going to be pretty simple. Anna will look after Andy during the day while I work, and then Anna will go to work and I'll look after Andy in the evening. And that's what we do every Tuesday. And it might be that we have to do something that looks a little bit like that most days. Like Friday, Anna has a uni day on Friday, and it's all done on the internet. And we've already said Friday she's probably going to have to come out and sit out here to do her uni work away from Andy, while I look after Andy, and then I'm going to have to fit that day's work in somewhere else, whether it means, I don't know what it means, working Thursday night, getting up really early on Friday, maybe not doing the podcast this Friday night so I can do my work in the evening on Friday. What I need to do is sit with a pen and paper and work out how much work I need to do and when I can fit it in. But yeah, we'll make it work. We kind of thrive under, because consistency and routine is so important to Andy. Me and Anna kind of thrive in an environment where we have to throw a routine together quickly, and making something resembling routine and structure out of chaos is something that we're quite good at. So we'll figure out by the time I start work tomorrow morning, me and Anna will have a plan. Whether the plan works or not, we shall see. Geeky Guy says, with all the school closures, teachers will be looking for videos to add for works for students, looking for videos to help us teachers can't help. Yeah, they would, but it's whether or not I can get those videos out. And again, it's computer science is quite a niche subject, I think, at the moment. And I think it probably is the right thing to do. I think at the moment, schools should be focusing on the basics: English, maths, science, the core subjects. If people want to program, they can program using stuff like Code Academy, which is a fantastic resource, and I couldn't make anything that good. There's good computer science resources already out there, because generally the people who teach computer science are good at computers. So my area of the market's already kind of cornered. Matt Whitler, thank you very much for becoming a new channel member. The support is very much appreciated. Does Andy ever say, love you, Dad, and does he understand that you're not his real dad? He does. He does say he loves me. I don't think he understands the concept of real dad or not. I'm just his dad, like Anna's just his mum. He hasn't had any contact with his biological dad since he was a toddler. He wouldn't know him if he walked in the room now. So as far as Andy's concerned, I am his dad, and that's as deep as he needs to understand it. You can download a Minecraft Church on Windows 10 for Andy. Yeah, but that helps Andy, but that defeats the purpose of giving me and Amy something to do. So one of the reasons me and Amy are going back to Minecraft is so we can spend some time together without being in the same place. So we'll do some online Minecraft together. And plus Andy wouldn't play on Windows anyway. So I guess you could then put that into the Xbox version maybe, but he'll play it on his iPad or his Switch. I guess any of them, it could go onto the Realm. We'll figure it out. But me and Amy need to have stuff to do to chat about while we're online. Simeon says, this lockdown is scaring me to death. Do you have advice on how to cope? Because I'm starting to break up. All I can recommend is just take it one day at a time. Make it your focus to just get through each day. And ultimately, for a lot of people, well, not for a lot of people, but for some people, and I don't know what your situation is day to day normally, but for some people, it doesn't really mean a lot has changed. Certainly, very little is changing from last week, unless you were one of these people who was going to the seaside over the weekend and you've been ignoring all the instructions. You should have been kind of living this life for the last couple of weeks anyway. And all it is them enforcing the rules that they've already been suggesting. So if you've been following the suggestions, you've kind of already been doing it. And just remember that it is all for everybody's safety. So it isn't going to be something that's around forever. We will make it out the other side of it. And the best way for us to get through it quickly is to follow it and follow the rules, because the longer people try and cheat the system and the longer people ignore what they're being asked to do, the more likely it is that the situation gets worse and worse and the NHS becomes overwhelmed. So hopefully this is the message that everybody needed to actually start taking it seriously, follow the instructions, and give us a chance to beat this, to flatten the curve is a thing that they all keep saying. Let's just do it and get it out of the way and then never have to worry about it again. That's the goal. But yeah, just for getting through day-to-day life, try and stay as close to your normal routine as possible, which I know is really difficult to do if you're used to being out and about all day. But I would recommend still having an alarm in the mornings, because I think it helps for routine. The last thing you want to do is get into a habit of waking up at lunchtime, going to bed super late, laying up late at night, terrified and worried, and then struggling to get to sleep and getting up even later the next day. Try and keep some structure in your day. Have a set time to get up. Have your set meal times. Have activities that you do between those meals, whether that's doing some work from home if you've got work from home to do, or just keeping your mind busy. Football Manager, I don't know if you're into that kind of thing, but Football Manager is free to download and play at the moment. They've extended that for another week. Find some games that you like to play, or binge watch some series on Netflix or Amazon or somewhere, or watch all of my daily vlogs back to back. That'll keep you occupied for years. But just try and find some structure and some routine, because routine really does help. It's a fantastic system for managing anxiety, whether you've got autism or not. We use it with Andy because it really helps with his autism as well. But it's just general good practice for dealing with anxiety. It removes some of the... There's a lot of uncertainty at the moment, so take control of the stuff you can take control of and create your own certainty. Yes, you might not be able to go fishing if fishing's your thing, but you can make sure you have your breakfast at 8:30 every morning. So take control of that and start taking control of some little things to help manage the overall uncertainty. That's how I'm going to play it anyway. Right, let's dig out a few more questions. I brought a can of pop out and haven't even opened it yet. I can already feel my voice getting croaky. What would you recommend for a year 11 who's just left school and now has 6 months with no official work? Similar thing, routine. Absolutely routine. I mean, I could argue as a year 11 who's now not got exams and was kind of preparing for a huge volume of work over the next few months of study and exams and all the stress that goes along with that, I think there's an opportunity there for people who are in year 11 and are in that situation to not waste these 6 months. It would be really easy to spend the 6 months just playing video games and not doing a lot and just being lazy. But I think that'll actually make it harder to get through, because you can't go and hang out with your mates and do all the stuff that 16-year-olds would typically do. But I would take this as an opportunity to learn something. Not necessarily even learn the sort of things you'd be learning at school, but something that interests you. Whether that's learning a foreign language or learning an instrument, which I guess if you don't already own an instrument, that's a little bit harder to do, because I doubt music shops are open. But learn to program. Like I say, computer programming is a fantastic skill. If you were to commit now to 2 hours a day of Code Academy, which is a fantastic free resource for learning computer programming. If you committed, right, Monday to Friday for the next 6 months while I'm off school, I'm going to spend 2 hours doing Code Academy. By the time you go back to school, you'll be a fairly confident computer programmer, which is a fantastic skill to have. Or spend a couple of hours a day learning a language. Use, what was that app that I used? I can't remember the name of it. There's iPhone apps that do this kind of stuff, and I can't remember the names of either of them. But I had a couple when I was trying to learn French. Duolingo is a good one. Or pick another skill. Learn to do that. Learn to use Photoshop. I think Adobe are doing a free trial of the Creative Suite at the moment. There's so much stuff you could learn to do. Write something. Just pick a skill and learn it. Take it as an opportunity. Gengar2891, thank you for the super chat. They say, hi, play FIFA. I do play FIFA, just not online because I'm rubbish at it and people laugh at me. Yes, we're in lockdown. I can see a couple of people asking that the UK is now in lockdown. I might actually get ahead on my A-levels. I play 2 instruments, could get back into photography and coding. Yeah, there you go. Getting ahead on your A-levels is a great idea. Practice your instruments, get better at them. Getting back into photography is perfect, especially because you've got the challenge of not being able to go everywhere and pick out the really cool photography stuff. It's actually going to challenge you as a photographer to come up with, maybe commit to posting one like quality photograph a day on Instagram. Do 1 picture a day, but it has to be like a lockdown series where it has to be something that you've created art out of in the environment that you're in, whether it's when you're on your morning walk for a bit of exercise or stuff that's around the house. But find a way to create good photographs out of the environment that you're in. That's a fantastic idea. All right, let's what films do I recommend? If you haven't seen all the Marvel movies, that'll kill a week. I'd recommend those. Outside of superhero films, I don't really watch a lot of movies, so I can't really recommend much else. Babbel is another app. There you go. Flowers has recommended Babbel. There's others as well. There's lots of things you can use to learn languages. And it doesn't have. I'm not saying you have to learn a language, but there's plenty of skills you could learn that could be really, really helpful in the future. Just thinking of when it comes time for you to get a job. If you've spent this 6 months learning a language or learning a piece of software or learning to code or, I don't know, learning to juggle, all of these things are skills that can go on your CV. Do I like the Muppets? If so, what's my favourite? I haven't watched the Muppets for years. I used to love the Muppets as a kid. I like Animal. I've got a little Animal cuddly up on my shelf over there, who I've had for years. Animal's awesome. Do we get Andy to help with any chores? Not really. We pick our battles with that kind of thing. We make him. I guess we're doing more than we used to. Like these days, he'll come and fetch his dinner from the kitchen and take his plate back to the kitchen afterwards, which is progress. He'll now put his empty crisp bags in the bin. There's not a huge amount else that he does, but it's small steps. A couple of years ago, he wouldn't cooperate with anything. So the fact that he now the fact that he now has regular meal times, which he didn't have before, and eats off of a plate, which he didn't do before, and is willing to bring that plate to and from the kitchen. I mean, maybe that's one of the things we can work on during this period of him being at home. Maybe get him using the toaster himself for his breakfast in the morning. Maybe having butter his own toast. Maybe, because I don't really want him using the oven to make his fish fingers and his waffles and stuff, but maybe he could wash up his own plate. There's little things we could try. Has Andy's real dad ever seen Anna or Andy on YouTube or newspapers? Firstly, I'm his real dad. That other guy's just his biological dad. And secondly, we have no way of knowing him. None of us have had any contact with him. I've never had any contact with him. Anna's not had contact with him since Andy was a toddler. She gets his poxy £5 a week, which is all he can do on his child support, because he spent the 15 years of Andy's life not being bothered to get a job. So Anna's had a £5 a week out of him forever, but it has to, even that had to go through court to be forced out of him, and it's now taken out of his benefits, and that's as much contact as we have. But as part of that, he doesn't know where we live, he doesn't know anything about us, and I don't think he cares. I just don't think he has. He probably wouldn't even recognise Andy if, like I said, Andy wouldn't recognise him. He wouldn't recognise Andy if he walked into the room. He just couldn't care less, and it's probably for the best that they have no contact. If you're having trouble finding things to watch, Disney Plus is coming out tomorrow. Yes, it is. We've pre-ordered Disney Plus, and I am looking forward to it. I don't know that we'll have time to watch it tomorrow, because of all the stuff we've got on now. But yeah, we've got Disney Plus ready to go. Gengar 2891, thank you for the super chat. Do I have WWE 2K20? I do. I've got it on Xbox One, and I've never played it. I had it pre-ordered, like a digital copy pre-ordered. I had it preloaded and everything, and then the reviews started to come out, and all those glitchy memes started to appear, and I just never even opened it. So it's sat there on my Xbox One hard drive, and I've never even turned it on. So I doubt I ever will. That was money well spent. Sid Makes Studios, thank you for becoming a new channel member. Yehuda, I'm his real dad, absolute savage. Well, you're a scumbag then, get out of my chat. You're not though, so because I don't think his real dad would have been able to write a coherent sentence like that. How do I think WrestleMania will go over the 2 nights and behind closed doors? I think it'll be a disaster, and I think they should call it off. And I hope the US follow suit with some of the. I mean, we've now gone harder line than the US have. If Trump comes out this week and bans unnecessary travel and bans gatherings of 2 or more people, WrestleMania's off, because people can't travel in from all over the country to perform on it. And if you can only have 2 people together, you can't even have 2 wrestlers and a referee. So I suspect WrestleMania is not going to happen. I would imagine. When's the haircut live stream? I'm not sure. Soon, probably. That's what's my favourite video game? Football Manager. I think we might be winding down a little bit on the questions now. I'm looking through, and a lot of the ones coming in now are ones that I've already answered. Is Code Academy free? Certainly when I was still a teacher, so we're going back 3 years ago, Code Academy was free. I can't guarantee it still is because I've had no reason to look at it for 3 years. I don't even know for sure that it still exists, but certainly 3 years ago, it was a fantastic... If Smoothman's still knocking around in the chat, he was in the earlier stream. Smoothman still is an active computing teacher. I would probably be able to give more up-to-date advice or resources. Code Academy at the time was fantastic, and I imagine it still is. What's it like being an adult? Weird question, but being locked in takes a toll. I'm probably not the right person to ask. I literally spend my days sitting in a room surrounded by toys and playing video games. So I don't do a lot of adulting. I refuse to grow up. I don't even know how to answer that question. It's cool because you get your own money, so you get to spend it on what you want. But then sometimes people remind you you're supposed to pay bills and you have to act responsible. So it's cool when you don't have to be responsible. It's a bit rubbish when you do have to be responsible. Have I heard of WWE 2K leagues where you can play online with scripted matches? I haven't, but that sounds like an interesting idea. Alice H asked earlier if Andy was picking up on the stress of you and Anna at the moment. That's a good question. I think he's... I don't know. I guess he must be. I think he's probably got his own stuff that he's more worried about at the moment. And I imagine even though we are feeling stressed, I think we do quite a good job of not showing that in front of him too often. And I think we probably are the least stressed environment he's spent any time in recently. So I don't know. There's bound to be some impact, but I think the messing around with school and all that kind of stuff and respite at the weekend and all that, I think there's probably much bigger things that are stressing him out than me and Anna being a little bit worried. What's my favourite video game besides FM and why? Probably Persona 5 because it's immersive and awesome, and I'm really looking forward to Persona 5 Royal coming out in a couple of weeks. And I've just thought, I really hope my special edition gets delivered still. First world problems. It probably won't. Electronic shops are closed, aren't they? I should probably cancel that pre-order and just buy it digitally. But I want my mask. I've got my Phantom Thieves mask coming to go with my original special. Oh, I'm such a nerd, but they took the money for that this weekend as well. That's 80 quid down the drain. I should have cancelled that. I didn't even. They took the money, then sent an email saying, "Oh, by the way, we've started taking money." I pre-ordered that months ago, so hopefully I'll now get a refund on that because it's not coming, and I don't need it. Or Skyrim. I love Skyrim as well. Anything that I can just completely get lost in and immerse myself in, I like. What was my first thought when Boris said lockdown? I said the bleep. He didn't actually say the word lockdown, did he, at any point? Which I thought was carefully put. I mean, if you were in my stream immediately before, I called it. I think it was pretty clear that's what was happening the moment they abandoned the 5 o'clock conference for a Cobra meeting. The only reason I have a Cobra meeting is something big is going on, and the only big thing that could really go, either they'd cured it or they were going into lockdown, and they hadn't cured it. So I think it was just confirming something a lot of people already knew was happening. How's Andy coping being at home? Well, he was at school today, so tomorrow's going to be his first day at home. Has Anna met my ex-wife? Yeah, loads of times. I mean, loads of times every week. She was here dropping off some fish fingers yesterday because being an NHS worker, she got to go in on the NHS hour at Morrison's yesterday and bought us a couple of big packs of Andy's fish fingers because she knew we weren't able to get them. So, yeah, she sees her all the time. What's my opinion on Black Widow being delayed? I mean, it was the only option. I know there were some people saying stick it on Disney Plus, but I think that would be unfair on multiple groups of people. It would be a real shame for only their second female-led movie to not have a box office to shout about. It would be unfair on people who don't want to pay for a Disney Plus subscription and just want to see that movie. It's unfair on the cinemas because they miss out on the revenue from a big Marvel movie. So I think it's best that it's been delayed. And plus, quite apart from any of that stuff, when I see that movie, I want to see it in a cinema because movies are best in the cinema. So I'm willing to wait as long as it takes to be able to see a movie I've been looking forward to for years in the cinema. I don't want to have to sit and watch it on my TV. I want it in the cinema. Right. We're gonna do. Let's say how long have I been streaming? I've been streaming for another. I've streamed for nearly 2 hours today. This is mad. We're gonna do another 5 questions, and then we're gonna wind things down because it's gone 10 o'clock. I need to catch Anna before she goes to bed, and she's been up since 5 because she was on the early shift today. So let's pick out the last couple of questions. Is FM as complicated as it looks as I'm thinking about playing it? I mean, it has its moments. I think it's relatively easy to get into and really difficult to master because I've not mastered it yet. But now's the time to try it. I mean, it's free on Steam for the next week and a bit. So download it and have a go. See for yourself. It has some decent tutorials built into it now. See what you think. Watch my videos. They're basically tutorials. They're really not. Right, let's pick out a couple more questions. Andy's school should be still available to him. Andy's school is still available to him, but we've made the decision not to send him now. Now this has happened, I think that's the time to do that. Do me and my ex-wife get on? We get on okay. Archie's had a haircut. Excellent. Connor Weaver, thank you for the super chat. No question, just keep going, Kev. Connor, don't you worry. I don't quit. I'll keep going. I will always keep going. Would you say that starting a YouTube channel now is the perfect time? I think the perfect time is always today. It's always right now. And that applies to everything, not just YouTube. The best time to start something is always today, because there's no time like the present. Just crack on. But if you find yourself with a lot of time on your hands at the moment, now's a great time to learn those skills. It goes back again to using this time productively to learn a skill. If there's something you've always wanted to do, say you've always wanted to write a book, now's the time to write the book. If you've always wanted to learn to play the piano, now's the time to learn to play the piano. If you've always wanted to start a YouTube channel, now's the time to start a YouTube channel because you've got the time to learn those skills and you don't know when you're going to get another opportunity again to have this kind of time available to you to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you have been thinking about starting a YouTube channel, record your first video before you go to bed tonight, edit it in the morning, get it out tomorrow, just crack on. Ben says, what's the likelihood of a Twitch stream tomorrow? I would say 0 because I'm going to spend the daytime recording Football Manager videos and in the evening looking after Andy. So there will be no chance of a Twitch stream tomorrow. There's a good chance of one probably on Wednesday, but definitely not tomorrow. What's the backstory of the kit in the background? It was for a Football Manager series that I did last year. I created my own team called Home FC. And we had an arrangement with the National Autistic Society where I put their name on the shirts and give them a share of the proceeds of selling said shirts. So it's a team we made up to play in the game. We did a whole Football Manager series on it that took the entire year, pretty much. It was like 10 months of daily or almost daily YouTube videos about this imaginary football club in Football Manager that now has more Twitter followers than most actual non-league clubs. And we sold some shirts, a lot of shirts, and made a lot of money for the National Autistic Society, and it was awesome. It's probably the best thing I've ever done, that whole project, the Home FC project. It's the thing I'm most proud of, I think. Right, 2 more questions. At what age do you see yourself and Anna moving to London? I mean, we'd hoped this year or next year. That's probably not happening now, is it? So, who knows? It really depends on what job Anna can find. What impact this all has on my business. This whole thing could set our finances back several years because the small amount of money we've been able to save over the last couple of years while my income has been lower than normal. Because to let you behind the curtain, we spent all of our savings when I first went self-employed because I was earning hardly nothing on here initially. So all of our savings were gone in those first couple of months. We even ran up a little bit of a credit card bill because things got really desperate. But pretty much since Christmas of that first year, we've been paying the bills. And saving us a little bit of money. Not enough to go and move to London straight away, but enough where we thought, okay, at some point, if we can keep adding to this, we might actually be able to get this done. But there's every chance that any savings that we've got are going to be cleared out over the next couple of months. And we don't know if or when Anna's going to get a job. So all long-term plan, and we've talked about this on these streams a couple of times now, all long-term planning is kind of off the table at the moment because we just don't know. We don't know how long this is going to go on for. We don't know what impact it's going to have on our health. We don't know what impact it's going to have on our finances. We don't know what impact it's going to have on the economy, on the jobs market, on the housing market. In 2 years' time, we could be living in a council flat. I could be teaching again. Anna could still be working at Co-op, or, you know, I could have 1 million subscribers and Anna might be a CSI with her own Veronica Mars style TV show. And, you know, who knows what the future holds. So until we can predict the future with a little bit more certainty, we're just, like I recommended to a couple of people earlier in this stream, we're just living day to day and month to month. We'll get through today, we'll get through this week, we'll get through this month, and then we'll focus on tomorrow and next week and next month, and then we'll see where we are when we get out the other side of all of this. And I think that's the only way anyone can be at the moment. Right, final question. Let's pick a good one. Do I think I'll do a games night video anytime soon? No, because we can't all get together. Did we get Dave as a puppy? Yes. You can move to Stevenage. It's a lot cheaper than London or North London. It is, but it's basically Peterborough, but a little bit closer. One of the appeals to me for actually getting into London is I want to live in London. I want to live in a city. I like that whole city life thing. I'm glad I'm not there now, but I want to be able to get rid of my car and walk everywhere. And just, it's a romantic notion that will probably never even happen. I've just got this idea of what it would be like living in London, and it would be awesome. But Stevenage is just, it's basically the same as living in Peterborough. So yeah, I worked in Stevenage for a year. There's not, I don't think Stevenage offers me anything I can't get here. Right, final question. What would you recommend for a comic/geek YouTube channel? What, as in one to watch? I don't really watch a lot of that on YouTube. Comics Explained is a good channel that I haven't watched for ages. But it's whenever I have some backstory that I want to check, he'll have a video that I can watch and it will help me with some backstory. But yeah, geeky channel. I don't really watch a lot of that kind of stuff. Pretty much the only stuff I watch on YouTube is wrestling stuff. Like Wrestle Talk, Cultaholic, What Culture. And then I watch the odd vlog or personality like type stuff. I like Casey Neistat, I like Peter McKinnon, I like Matt Diavella, I like who else do I like? Wheezy Waiter. Basically all the old men. If you're an old man on YouTube, I'd probably watch you because I'm into old men apparently. But I don't watch a lot of anything outside of those two very strict genres. But we are, no offense, but with all the cash problems you talk about, could you really afford to live in London? I mean, I don't talk about cash problems regularly. We're talking about a potential cash flow problem at the moment. But if I earned what I earned last year every year, and bearing in mind my income's gone up every year since I've been doing this, so it'll probably continue to go up. Maybe not this year because of all this stuff, but if Anna was earning the kind of money we expect her to earn, and I was to earn what I earned last year, then yeah, we could afford to live in London. We'd be skint, but we could afford to do it. But it would be on the basis of it then affords us more opportunity. Anna has more choice of jobs and could earn more and progress quicker. I'll have more access to stuff that I currently have to say no to. I could say yes to a lot more stuff, which then grows my business more, which leads to increased income. It would be a calculated risk. But like I say, now is not the time to be going there. Lisa Adley, thank you very much for the super chat. Just want to say, stay safe. We will stay safe, and that's a message to pass out to everyone else as we end this stream. Just stay safe, stay at home. and just follow the guidance that we've been given. Don't be going out unless you absolutely need to, and yeah, don't isolate. I'm going to say don't isolate yourself. Isolate yourself physically, but mentally and emotionally, don't. Use the internet. The internet is a fantastic tool. Imagine having to go through all this 20 years ago when we didn't have social media. It would be an absolute nightmare, because we literally would be at home on our own with nobody to talk to. We live in a fantastic world where, yes, we physically all have to stay in our houses now, but we can chat to people as if they're in the same room using FaceTime or Skype or Google Hangouts or YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is. Use all that stuff. It's really important to keep your perspective, keep talking to people. Don't feel like you're having to go through it alone, because you're not. Figure out what we're doing tomorrow. Thank you to everyone who jumped onto this random second stream of the evening. Your support with these, the continued support with these streams is fantastic, and it helps me to know that they're helping you, because people keep turning up to them, so they are serving the purpose they were intended to serve, which is fantastic. And of course, thank you to all of the people who became new channel members during the stream, everyone who donated via super chat. That is all much appreciated as ever. But we are going to say goodbye. Thank you for joining me. We will be back tomorrow for another stream. It'll be a sofa stream tomorrow, not to be confused with soda stream, but I won't be able to come out here because it will just be me and Andy. So the video and audio will be a bit ropey, but we'll still have a chat. I'll see you tomorrow. Toodle pip, folks. Bye-bye.